Hello artists, thank you for joining us again today for another episode of TAM at Home. My name is Allie and I have some assistants here with me today.
My name is Freya.
And your name is? Your name is? What's his name?
Beck.
Beck! And today we're going to talk about the element of art, value. Does anyone...
It's dark and light.
That's correct, Beck. The element of art shows the value of color from light
to dark and light.
From light to dark, right? So it's the gradual change of lightness or darkness of a color. Is that right, Freya?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So we're first going to start
by drawing something.
We're actually not going to draw first. First, we're going to look at a work of art from the Tacoma Art Museum that is a good example of value, and then we're going to make some art of our own. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's first start by looking at this work of art entitled Duet V by David Shratter. We'll quietly look at this work, starting from top to bottom, left to right. What do you see in this work of art? And when you look at this work of art, where do you see where the artist has played with value? Where do you see where the light is darker or lighter? And what does that tell you, the viewer? So now let's make some art of our own, exploring the element of art value. All you need for this experiment is some paper, something to draw with. We have markers, crayons, oil pastels, soft pastels, and then with some paper, you'll also on the side want something to draw, which we have some simple shapes like lemons, oranges, pears, and apples. But first we're going to do an experiment with value. Let's start by making one really long rectangle. And in that rectangle, write 4 lines, breaking the rectangle into 5 boxes. In the first box, let's use the shape of a stripe and do spaced out stripes. In the second box, let's make our stripes a little bit closer. In the third box, let's make our stripes a little bit closer. In the fourth box, even closer. And by the time we get to the 5th box, our stripes are going to be very close to one another. Do you see how the value changes from light to dark? Okay, now let's do another long rectangle. And again, break it into 5 boxes using 4 lines. This time let's do a squiggle. So in the first box, it'll be a big squiggle. The second box, the squiggle will get a little smaller, a little tighter. The third box, it'll get a little smaller and a little tighter. The fourth box, our squiggle will get smaller and tighter. And by the 5th box, it's going to be a total mess of small squiggles that are very tightly strung. Again, do you see how it goes from light to dark? Okay, one last long rectangle broken into 5 boxes. This time, let's play with color and value. So you can pick a crayon, a colored pencil, pastel. In the first box, just very lightly, very gently, color in the first box. The second box, press a little bit harder. The third box, a little bit harder. The fourth box, a little bit harder. And by the 5th box, you're going to be pressing very hard. If you were using paint, you'd want to add more pigment to the last box. And the first box would have more water to it. can see the light to dark. And now let's make a still life of our own, like the work of art that we saw from the Tacoma Art Museum. Using a new piece of paper, pick a shape. It could be, we're going to use pears and oranges. And let's try to make this shape using value and color. You can see where it's light and where it's dark, where there are highlights and where there are shadows. And take some time to make this still life of your own. So now let's talk a little bit about the art that we made. First, we started with our exploration of value. And tell me, Freya, what did you notice when you did lines that were further apart?
My lines started to fall apart, and they came closer as they came in.
Mm-hmm.
So the last one on this side was the most closest and tightest together.
And what did that do to the color?
The color, it made it darker, and if they were more spaced out, it would be lighter. But since these ones are dark, it's super dark. I mean, since they're so close.
And when you played with the color, what was it like to play with actual soft pastels, trying to make it light and dark?
It was fun, I think, and you can, though this one's a little different than that, even though it looks the same. I don't get to show mine.
Oh, and you want to show yours too? Let's see what you made, Beck. Oh, look at the apple tree. Beck made an apple tree. Great. And look at the vibrant colors in your apples. And then you have some lighter colors for your tree, huh? Using different materials?
Light and dark for every bush and tree.
Okay. And Freya, let's look at your still life. Show me your still life.
And I have another one.
Okay, we'll look at that one in just a second, bud. Oh, a lemon tree. And Freya, tell me about your still life. Tell me about the values in your still life.
So I noticed on this pear that I was copying that on this side it was darker and it got lighter, and it on the back of it had a little shadow. So I made a tiny shadow, and it had, and I mixed the colors to make the color green.
Ah, so not only did you just play with the color green and the value of the color green, but you added a little yellow to it to make it kind of the proper color of your pear.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And in mine, I did a background where the background value went from dark to light, and then the table went from dark to light.
This is dark right there and light over there.
Okay, so on your lemon tree, it's dark right here, and then it got lighter on the tree. Very good.
Oh, the lemon's the light and this the dark.
And that's the dark. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for TAM at Home, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Bye. It's fun.